So day 36 on the Chosen behind the scenes of season 4, we actually got a really interesting little scene here, just a few seconds of Jesus speaking some of the dialogue that he's got in this season. Now, at first, I wasn't quite sure where this came from, but I did do some research, and I think this is actually going to be a really unique piece of season 4, and I'm excited for it. I don't know too much about this, so anyway, let's dive in and talk about this a little bit. Here we go.
All right, camera set. And action.
Antiochus set up pagan altars in every town in Israel and forced Jews to eat pig flesh to prove their conversion from Judaism.
So Jesus is talking about Antiochus, and he's talking about how he built these pagan altars everywhere and forced people to kind of live this pagan lifestyle. What is this from? Now, this isn't actually from the Bible, but some of you may recognize the book of Maccabees. And so this is actually from the book of Maccabees, not from the book of Maccabees, but he's telling a story of the historical account, which we now see in the book of Maccabees, which is here. So 1 Maccabees 1:41-43 talks about this issue exactly. Antiochus now issued a decree that all nations in his empire should abandon their own customs and become one people. All the Gentiles and even many of the Israelites submitted to this decree. They adopted the official pagan religion, offered sacrifices to idols, and no longer observed the Sabbath. Now this goes on and on and on, talks about this whole entire situation. And I was so confused at first because I didn't put 2 and 2 together as to like why we're talking about this. And I was trying to figure out what is he talking about here. And then I realized as I was watching this that there's actually a guy, I can't tell if it's one of the disciples, it's got to be one of the disciples, but he's actually holding a sword if you look back there. Again, I can't really zoom in. I'll try to zoom in for you guys so you can see here. But back in this corner, you see right here, right there, there's someone that looks like they're holding a sword. And so that reminded me of the revolt. And then from there, I got to the Maccabean War, which brought me to Maccabees, which brought me to Hanukkah. So it looks like we're going to be celebrating Hanukkah in season 4. Really, really interesting. So the book of Maccabees, just for those of you who don't know, it is a book in which we don't consider, at least as evangelical Christians, we don't consider this a piece of scripture, right? But it is kind of a historical account of what happened during the Maccabean revolt. So Antiochus IV, which is this king that is like making all these pagan laws, and he's trying to make everybody unite under one culture, and he's a tyrant, like a really bad dude. Basically, during this time period, there is a guy who was the leader of the Maccabees. I believe his name was Judah Maccabeus. Judah the Maccabean. I can't remember his full name right now, but I'm pretty sure that's it. And then he's basically over what are called a group called the Maccabees, right? They're his followers. And so this is called the Maccabean Revolt, right? And so they revolt against Antiochus and end up winning a bunch of these different battles. And this is where we get the story of Hanukkah from. Real quick before we continue in the video, I want to let you know that we're going to Israel in January of 2024. This is going to be an amazing trip, and we've only got a few spots left. We're taking Isaac David, who runs Daily Disciple, along with John McCrae, who runs What Do You Meme here on YouTube. Some seriously amazing Christian channels. You should check them out right now. But if you want to meet with us in Israel and be a part of this awesome trip, then you can see all the links in the description down below to get signed up. I tried my very best to make sure that this trip was as affordable as possible so that you could go to Israel. So check out those links in the description down below, and we'd love to see you over there. Let's get back to the video. So if you remember the menorah that Jewish people use for Hanukkah, you can actually see that there are basically 8 places to light a candle, right? And so what happened is Judah Maccabee and his followers, they are actually stuck in this fortress, essentially in this place, and they think they only have oil for 1 day. And so they put that oil on, hoping that it will last. And that oil ends up lasting them for 8 days, allowing them to survive until they can make more oil later on. And so if you ever heard the story of Hanukkah, that's probably like, you're probably remembering that a little bit of what happens there. But it seems like we're going to be celebrating Hanukkah in season 4, which is kind of cool. And it looks like we're going to have some little twists here and there of how they're celebrating this. Now, I think that this could be a major, major connection to some other things that we're going to see in season 4, especially Judas. So Judas, of course, is this huge, huge figure that we've been waiting to see more and more of, not only in season 4, but through the rest of it, right? All the way up into the betrayal, which we're probably going to see in season 5, would be my guess. And there's so much to his character that needs to happen in this season specifically. And so as we look at Judas and we think about the Maccabean War and we think about how that was like, the Maccabean War was like this symbol for the Jews. This was like their reminder that there is a Messiah that's coming, that even though they couldn't win the full war here, right? They did win some battles, and there's hope here. Like it's this pointer towards the Messiah to say one day there will be a Messiah who comes, who conquers all of Rome and all of our enemies, and he'll destroy everything so that the Jews can finally be home and whole again. This is the mindset of Judas. We're seeing that over and over and over again in The Chosen. Remember that conversation that he had with his sister in season 3. He talked with her and told her about how that they're finally going to destroy the Romans and there's going to be this big fight and these different things are going to happen. We saw his mindset there, and we're seeing that again as we go into season 4. We're going to talk about it a little bit later in the stream as well, but this could definitely be a huge tie-in to who Judas is and how this Maccabean revolt is really what he wants. He really wants there to be a war. He really wants Jesus to be this warrior king that comes in and destroys the Romans. But that's not who Jesus is. And so Judas is becoming more and more confused about what Jesus' plan is, how he wants to do this. And we know that later, Judas is going to betray Jesus, maybe not because he hates Jesus, but because he wants him to be forced in the position to destroy the Romans. He wants him to be forced into the position of what he thinks the Messiah should do. And in so doing, he fulfills what he's supposed to do by turning in the Messiah, and the Messiah then is sacrificed for all of us. This is such a heavy thing, but it could be such a cool parallel. I wonder how Dallas has written this section. I would bet money that this has to do with Judas here, that this is going to connect somehow here. Yeah, really, really cool. I'm excited to check this out. I'm excited to kind of dive into this and see exactly what's going on. But we do see that
force Jews to eat pig flesh to prove their conversion from Judaism.
Then we see the Maccabees here, and we also see a little bit more, just some behind-the-scenes photos of, I think, the same scene. So maybe this is them getting ready to celebrate Hanukkah here. I'm not 100% sure. It's kind of hard to tell what's going on here. This could just be a different scene that's within the same room that they're filming. And then we get another couple shots of different stuff here as well. And we get some more shots of like Jesus here on the bed. He's kind of looking somber. I'm not sure what this shot is. Again, it's kind of hard to tell. And we don't know where that is either. I haven't seen that bed before, I don't believe. I'm just excited to see that section, like to see those parallels. I wonder if that's the way that Dallas is going or if I'm just far off based. I hope you like this small piece of our live stream. If you want to see the full entire live stream, I think it's like 2.5 hours, almost 3 hours long. You can go check that out on our Patreon at patreon.com/thesnipelife. This is by far the best way to help support our ministry and to get extra content, including a full podcast every single week that we do on our second channel, Better Not Easy. Anyway, we'll see you on the next one. Peace.